I was born in Stanford. That was way back in 1959. We lived there in the village there, very mixed village. But then the government, then the care area where we lived for whites only, and we were forcibly moved there to come to Hawston. That was during 1989. I'm sorry. No, it was 1969. We moved here to Hawston. So as we came here, Hawston was very much underdeveloped. The main road was still made of clay, and I don't forget the feeling we have got to come into the area which is underdeveloped, and it looks scary because people lived here in houses that were fallen down, was made out of sticks and clay, and the roofs were made out of straw. So it was a difficult thing to me to come and to look in a community as poor as this. But then, I went to school. As from that's now standard 1, and then mingle with the community here. So as the community, Hawston was also by that time whites lived here, and also all the other cultures, blacks and total colors lived here. But they were also forced to move out of the area because they declared this area for so-called coloreds.
Okay.
And
Can you maybe just explain your family and your parents, what kind of job we're doing and how many were you at the time?
Yeah. So we had a big family of 40. But my parent was actually a gardener. In his youth, he was working on the electrical lines. But then, living on a farm, the farmer said to his dad, he must get down from there, because if he want to stay on the farm, my father must come work on the farm. So he was deprived by that time to promote himself in life. So he only couldn't be a gardener. My mother was a domestic worker, because we moved from Stanford to Hawston. This was a political dumping ground. They built a lot of government houses here without any work. And this being a fishing village, the fishermen used to live on this area. They called it the kraal. They couldn't possess anything, because at that time you're not allowed to earn anything or even done any business. So they live on the kraal, and on this house that I've talked about. And but that's the thing. So my parents was clinging to this thing. So you come into extreme poverty. Okay. You are removed from the area you live, where you can make a living. You have a big piece of land where you plant your veg and everything. You had your pig, you had your sheep and everything, and suddenly everything was taken away from you. You come here to barren land.
So, what kind of accommodation did you receive when you arrived here in 1960?
Yeah. Luckily for us, we bought through my father. We bought a piece of land that belongs to the white people before, with a small little house and a big piece of land that you can do gardening and you plant veggies. So, but we came here. You couldn't put all your stuff in a little house, so you had to either burn it or put it somewhere else. So it was a bad feeling that time, but we managed to overcome this, and yeah.
So when with your brothers and sisters, was their house could accommodate all of you?
No, we couldn't. We had to sleep in a type of a garage, like a sack. We had to sleep there, because we couldn't go all into the house. So that's what pressurized us. So yeah, that's what happened in the past then.
So were you the eldest amongst the siblings, or what?
No, I was the fifth eldest amongst them that come here.
So is your brother still alive, or?
Yeah, two of my brothers gone already. One of my sisters, the others are still alive. The three sisters is gone, and two brothers has died. And I'm now the oldest of the brothers.
Okay. So are the parents still alive? Or?
My mother has have died. My father is still alive. He's now 93 years old. You see.
Okay. So tell us then, was there any school when you arrived here at home?
Yeah, when we arrived here, there was the school belonged to the Anglican Church. It was still church schools, and and nothing was up here. And it was a little school on the premises of the primary school was used for whites previously. But then the government then that same year they built a paper school for us down here, and coming up with a system of education, they say, well, you're going to go to a new school, and everything changes from there onwards. So I can remember that my principal was very much, he belonged to a new can't remember, the organization was against the government at that time, and they taught us how to sing the stem. And today when you open the school, he refuses the officials to lower the flag. He said no, not only under school. We didn't ask to move from the church school to the school to be under government. It's oppressive. That day I've seen, particularly I was enacted to see how we can stand. We know the stand, but we never sang it. The flag never goes up under school, because it was, he knows better by that time what is happening around us, because you come into a system that is totally train you totally for to be nothing in the end. So he rejected this thing, and they didn't. For us as me as a young boy at that time, it was staggering to see what principal can do to stop them from singing the stem under the apartheid flag. It was never accepted.
Is that the Anglican school?
It was an Anglican school, yeah, and we went over to this government school.
Yeah.
Come to government school.
Some people made mention of Canon Cliff. Who is this?
Yeah, so Canon was a priest. All the people, he was a priest down there, and also a teacher way back in the past. So at this school, the Anglican school, is now a church. It's now a church that the premises is still down there. So he was the guy, when he came here, he's seen also how the people lived, and he's the first guy who would tell them to marry, because they never married. So he began the campaign to say, you must get married, and it's the first time that people will start to marry, you see. So yeah, so I can't talk much because it's before my time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So during your period, who was then the name of the principal?
Mr. Nesson. Mr. Nesson, he was the principal at the school at that time, you see. So yeah, but my time there was always to see how the government then bring in the education that they teachers have right to beat you up, you know, and I always resist that. They beat you up if you don't understand anything, you hit your head against the board, kick you around because they have a right. Then most of the people say they can't wait to reach standard 6 to go and work, because the system in the school was like militaristic, you know. Teachers have the right to do anything, and that was their way of bullying our people out of school to go and be a cheap laborer. Right?
Yeah, I remember corporal punishment in schools. Yeah.
That was one of Wood's plan to make us lesser than human beings, and I always resist that in school. I resist that, and I'll speak to the teacher and say, no, my mother sent me to learn not to be a circus, and I won't tolerate you to touch me, you see, because what happened, they would kick people around. Even when I went to the high school in Canada, they did the same thing. They're looking for cigarettes and butts, and people must stand like this, hands up, and then they kick you around. They said, I won't do that. My hand was down, and I was prepared to fight because it was not right. So I stopped all the things that were abuses that was happening against our people at that time. You see, so that's the system. And I know when you finish the code Senate 10, you can't even speak English properly and write English properly. So you're not prepared for the market. You see. So I went to University of Western Cape, and for the first 2 years I had to use a dictionary to translate, because I wasn't trained properly. I couldn't understand English properly. You see, even don't speak it. So this was a system is bringing you down, make you less human beings. You see.
So it was more of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction.
No, not about the medium. It's about my teacher, to put it that way. in a primary school. He was a guy who went, he passed standard 6.
He became a teacher.
Became a teacher. Now he's young, 21 years old, and he come and now they teach him over 2 years. He come back. He's that attitude of oppress you. You can't even ask questions. Because this was their way of doing it. The women teachers, they can go to 8 and then 2 years and come back. They weren't trained properly. They were there just to pressurize your brain and keep you down, you see. Okay. And I've experienced that in my school time. Okay. But to go back to Hawston's history, you see, that being coming from Stanford to come to Hawston, now the fisherman who lives up in the border, because they were poor, not allowed to even to have money to buy plots when they were vacated by the white people who lived here. They were very angry. You see, they were very angry, and what the government does, they built 450 of this government house, that semi-attached houses. Also not for dignity, because there's no privacy. People who live here, you can hear anything from the other side happening. So it was also then part of a Wood's plan to rip us apart and not to have any dignity. You see, to live in a 2-room house, where you come from, to bring all the area from Carrington, from Stanford, from Manus, they were all put in this area without any work. Now you can imagine the fishermen who had nothing in the past were very angry. And way back in the past, they used to live on this area they call the Kraal. And they wrote a letter to the then was involved to say they want this land over here they belonged to the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth. And they said they want this piece of land that they can have some dignity, but they don't have money to pay. But they want to live on the pieces of land. They said that time no white man must allowed to buy it there, you see. And he said even if a so-called colored person gets money from a white person, they mustn't give it to him. Not that they are racist, because they had nothing, the feeling of having nothing. Now it comes to the fishing rights. So they were always here, they have got their boats, they can make a living. So what the government does then, the old government does, they took away all the rights they have. Because they told me, when the Portuguese fled their land, they come to South Africa, the government gave them the big boats. But they have no fishermen to work it. So they come to Hawston and all the communities and asked for fishermen to work for them. But they refused because they have their own boats, to make a living for themselves. And what the government then does, they introduce a skipper license, and your boat must have certain things. And they never even, because a fisherman is for 45 years under water, he knows everything. But he can't read or write because he went out of school at a very early age. And so they forced them off the sea. Because when I came to work in the library, I asked them, sitting on a copy here, why are you sitting down here? He told me the story. I asked them, did they never ever give you oral? Because you're a professor in your own right. He said no. So I was very angered. I told them I'll do something about it. That's why the poverty came in. So the people then were forced to go and work for this say so-called companies, because they have, and then poverty comes in. Because they went away for 2 weeks. And what it does, they took dacha and wine onto the boat. Okay. And the guys were given this. When they come back at home, there's no money really, because they draw all the money. See, so the poverty came into because of this tragedy they have.
So in a way, on the boats there was a dope system of some sort.
Yeah, free access to alcohol and to drugs. That's what their main aim is, to make us less human beings. Yeah. So same as they did in the past, to throw drugs on the Cape Flats and guns for the people, to make us not to be human beings, always to be feel the pressure and accept the pressure. So this happened. But anyway, so I then went out and say, well, I phoned the guys from Cape Town and say, I've seen what's happening. They tell me, in Hermanus, the so-called white school there, when the children is standard 10, then they will come out and teach them to get skipper licenses, where our people get nothing. And I was very angry about this. I said, okay, I'll do something. I phoned them and said to me, I want 20 people. Get them together, fishermen, those who can't read or write, I want you to come and train them. He told me, I can't do that. I said, but you're going to white school. Huh? Young people get licensed by people's livelihood are taken away in the past. You come here. we pay you, and come and do it. And the first 20 people were then trained. It's our own people. So the system was so very good organized that you never have opportunity to do something. You see, you take away. And then the fishermen open up and then tell me their stories. That way back in 1935, sorry, 1984, 85, when the government introduces the tricameral parliament, and then want to have colors the side and that side. So then the party, the Arbeits Party, then they decide to go to the fishermen, and they gave for them abalone quota of 65 ton. But they said Kleinmond, Hawston, Mount Pleasant and Gansbaai must then be, fishermen almost must get the proceeds of that 65 ton. But never ever they allowed the fishermen to dive it themselves. You see, they just came in again. When they gave it to them, they came in again, and they went to first score and everything. And never ever the fishermen have benefit from that. So again, you give something, you take it away. In first score, they invested money in some other side, and the fishermen stayed poor. You see, although they gave the abalone divers also a quota of 45 ton, but they also come with their cleverness, and in some of them sell it. To tell them the abalone will have no value. So they always come with this thing of Zambo coming to us with a pipe and with a wine and then taking people taking it away. You see, we welcome people who come here, but that's the thing that runs right through. So that's why the poverty stays here. So even then the fishing rights, they got no fishing rights. They took away all this, and all was given to the big companies. So there's a struggle. I was involved. A struggle to get fishing rights for our people, and they can make a living, because you stay poor. You must always have somebody to work for. You can't work for yourself. You see, and this is the thing what happened in Hawston. So way back they dump us here. There's no work. Now what happened? Children comes up. You are hungry. What do you do? You go to the sea. You're gonna poach abalone because you can't let your children go hungry. You see, so it's because they didn't open up the quota and say, well, because of this, we give you this that you can have a business. Because, as I said, fishermen, they know what to do. You don't need to train them, they know what to do. You see?
They grow up here.
Yeah, but if you have no rights, you can't do nothing. So I got involved in this thing, and when the new government came, we changed the laws, and fishermen could have rights for the first time. But now also, the quantum is not enough. The guy can't work for 3 days of the year, and he's finished. Then next year, you see, so they always look at the quantum. There must be enough to sustain you. A lot of things. So all the people who advised the government in the past, the so-called white people, because they are clever, because we took over the government, we don't know everything, and they give information, they put things on the table where they know what the outcome will be in the end. And we'll fight amongst one another. But this thing must stop. That's the whole thing. And that's why you have this people from the boardwalk were very angry with the people come from outside, and it was Friday nights. Every night was a fight. People fighting together because you come from outside here, you don't belong here. We had no rights in the past. You come and take the rights. So that happened now. Everybody goes to the sea to see if they can make a living. We have big pieces of land here at the sea. They wanted to make a golf. People said no. Put up training center for our children. We need an education center here, technical, because we need scientists to come from our own community, because so the government must come forward, and the use of land must be utilized for training facilities for our young people. But everybody can go through the school system, you see. So this is what we need to do. So we said, stand together as a community, say, no golf is going to happen here. We want this land to be utilized for the future for our children, because they need to train them in other spheres, technical spheres of it's important. So that's the pain you have in Hawston, that deprivation take place,
So did they manage at least to come up with a solution for the training of youngsters and so on?
Yeah, see what I did to being the librarian here, and I work in this library. Being the librarian, I started in 1996. I started with the training of the fishermen to make them skippers, and also abalone divers. So I've used my knowledge to draw in. So a lot of people have been trained up to now. Lots have been trained. Fishermen trained to become skippers and abalone divers, and even I went in. You see, I'm also a guide let the people train to become guides, and we can do whale watching and stuff like that. Because the government make open for you opportunities, but to get there is difficult because you need collateral, you need money. So there what happened, there's things open, then all the people runs. I'll take a few black faces, start a company, you become a shareholder, you never get anything, you see? And then still the cream still stays in the mouth of the white people. That's the problem we have got. Government is we have political freedom, we don't have economic freedom because Wood is very, very clever when he said, give me apartheid, I'll refine it. That years after apartheid, you will still be on top of the coffee. The cream will still be in the mouth. Then what happened? So we need to bridge that to see how can we break this circle. In tourism, the same thing happened. People are working with in the kitchen. They don't own the businesses because if you want to go for a business, where is your collateral?
So are you saying that at the moment, at least there are people within the community who will have access to trained as skippers, trained as what, and they are able now at least to bring food on the table?
Yeah, that's a good thing that happened with the new government. That they have changed, but now everybody can't go to the sea.
Yes.
We have a lack of lot of technical guys. So this way said, come to Hawston. I think it was reserved for us now. It's time for us now to have these training centers here. That guys can go and train for boiler makers, for technical skills. Come and do it here in our area because then at least the young people can go into that area. They can become, because there's no scientists, there's no other, there's only white scientists actually who's to do that of the old regime, and they are taught in a certain way. You see, so when it comes to quotas, they will always say we can't do this, we can't do that. You see, because the beneficiaries are the poor people, and we need also young people to go into venture there to become scientists. They can, because we have knowledge. It also can be accounted. You can't. I'm not against white people, but because I talk about the system. The white system in the past was an oppressive system, and it was a system that will deprive you. When I look at your face, immediately you can't come to the bank. You don't qualify because this is apartheid system that's still alive and still alive in their minds. You see, and this was, I'm talking about this system, but I'm not worried about the color, but I refer to the fact that the oppressive system is still alive, and people who are in position will still do the same thing. You won't get the same treatment as any other person. You see, that's the thing. So yeah, so there's opportunities, but it can open up more. So this community, Hawston was the mother of Hermanus. It gave birth to Hermanus, but as a system, when all the monies were sent to Hermanus to build it up, like Cape Town are built up with all the money. The government makes sure that Cape Town, like the same with Hermanus. So it's difficult to explain to young people why is Hermanus so a beautiful area and why is Hawston where because they never spend any money here.
So you don't have any infrastructure like shopping malls, whatever in Hawston.
You see, there's a shopping mall, shopping mall, way back in the Medina camp. So there was no shopping mall. When the guy come and say, well, you can put a shopping mall, regional shopping mall near Hawston, you can create jobs. What happened now? The people who have got the money immediately jump up and they you want to put up another mall in Sunby to curb this thing of this mall here. Because what they think about what's going to happen, they think about their pockets. They don't want development in our area. It's uncalled for. So if they don't open their minds and they keep everything for themselves, we needed more to come in Hawston that can provide jobs for people. You withdraw money, you withdraw money from other places, you see. But everything that happens, that's why you have no development in Hawston. Because everything you want to do, they will stop it. Those who have the business will try to stop it because they don't want any grow with it because they want all the cream for themselves. Money must flow to themselves. They expect our people to pay for the things. Where must they get the money from? Ne? See, if the government can help the people who are poor, but you must have open up. So we have proposals for development in the area, but I said the powers that be will drag their feet and do everything in their power not to break that. We need this to do because it's the most beautiful beach you can have in South Africa.
So do you have any high school currently?
Yeah. Any? Yeah, we have a high school. We used to go to Caledon in the past. We have a high school in Hawston. Yeah. It's down there, but we need technical training. If you can't be a farmer and only plant carrots, you see. This is what's happening now. The old government, they have done that to us. You only could have gone and buy time for the teacher, or for the policeman, or you can go for what you call the nurse.
Yeah.
You can't do the same things happening now. You can't have in this area all academic schools. You need a technical school, and we need urgently. And so we have land to do that. And once you don't do this, you can have the same problem that you go through your school and there's no work for everybody. Not everybody can go to university.
Yeah.
So technical thing is important for us. It'll be good for the whole of the Overberg. There's no land in the Western Cape to do something, but we have got land here. And people say, come and bring the opportunities for us here. The land is here. Come and do that and change the because the young people must see there's some other way to go. See? And we must come into Yarb, then you can't have, because Stanford people are coming to Hawston School, and Mount Pleasant's coming to Hawston School, even from Claymore's coming to Hawston School, because it's a so-called colored school, man. You see? So, but now you come together, where are you going? You see, that everybody can go to university, so we need a technical school. I hoped that one of the schools will be a technical school, and force then everybody to come to technical school. And all schools can't be for academic. See, so this is our need. So if we want to transform Hawston, we need the opportunities. They can come to us. See? But you hear the stories of the fishermen. We can't only cry about apartheid. We are in the future now. It's now to take our youth out of this, because it's difficult for a parent to I'm sad I've got 3 children at university, you see. So I'm lucky that I can swim around and push things around. But to send a child to go study and you have got the money is difficult. Although the government give you a burst, but then it needs food, and it's difficult to struggle, you see. So yeah, that can change. There's opportunities in Hawston for development, but then the people who are in power, they must relax, because you can't keep everything away from Hawston all the time.
Is there any initiative, say, from the community to say, look, for example, we need that kind of a technical school, to say maybe to the powers that be, look, try to bring us a technical school, talk to the municipality, talk to the education department, and so on.
See, we have. I'm also a councillor in ANC councillor in this council, and we have come to the conclusion that we need this piece of land for that technical school. So it's just they must come together and work something out, because land is available. Because the community have spoken out, they said yes, we need it, because the children, where are they going? See, it's a need for us. All agree that we need the technical schools to train our people in technical ways.
Okay. All right. So tell me, I just wanted to check, Guri, say during the period of the tricameral parliament, was there any developments happening within Hawston or these areas that you can maybe in comparison than today?
Yeah, I can tell you that time they had Sonesta, because they must have separate immunities. So yes. Sonesta was a place they started the immunities, separate immunities, and people must go there. But there was the group of people who wanted to put up a hotel close to the camping site, and they were prohibited to put up a hotel. They said, we can't allow you to put up a hotel, because we must first make Sonesta work, because the so-called colored people must then know where their place, where to go, you see. So they were blocked of putting up the hotel in that area. So but Sonesta now is when the new government come into being, they actually made sure that it fall into white hands again, you see. Confusing everybody around. They went to the divers to ask them, but they didn't tell them to have proper consultation with people. So nobody wanted to have something that the old government had. So that guy, the place is now privatized, and that my guy make a lot of money, you see. But furthermore, at that time, if that ever happened, could have places, it would be better for us. It was a great job for us. The guys are trying now to do it again, but it's difficult. Mm-hmm. So yeah, at that time, but nothing else have happened. Even this library, I was a librarian in 1981, and I've applied at that time to have a library in Hawston, because I worked in Mount Pleasant, also so-called colored area, and I've seen how many people go with the bus down to Mount Pleasant. And it is for the children. It's an eagerness. It's difficult to go over the road. So I applied then to the province that time to say I want a library. For 3 years, that first year they approved it. For 3 years, the steering committee here didn't want the library here, because you didn't know what a library is all about. They didn't want it. So only when I went to a conference, the director told me, what's happening in Hawston? We have money and books for 3 years now, but the steering committee didn't want to kind of make up their mind for a library, and I was shocked that because they didn't think of that how important the library is in the life of children. So then he said to me, please don't do anything stupid, and I got to them and said, no, come, let's talk, why is the library important? Because this is the thing that you must need for the people. So in the end, then they agreed to draw up the plans and put the library up. You see, so the difficulty was that they used in the past teachers and they to become part of the steering committee because they could control their minds. So whenever they speak about something, they don't implement it hard. They only agree with something and they go, 5 minutes finish. And I said, no, this is an important thing. They didn't know what the library is all about, you see. So that was the development that coming in place. Even the high school, when we said we had to go to carry them, and the buses was in a bad condition. It breaks down all the time, flat wheels, it can't go up the hill. But in the end, it was good actually to get the high school in Hawston. Same case, steering committee people were fighting also for 3 years. They didn't want to agree where the school must come. So some wanted school at the sporting side, others wanted somewhere else. So they phoned me at that time, said, Phillipus May, please, you're a community leader, help us here. The fighting is going ahead all the time. Give us permission. And we put a school, say, put a school in front of my door. It doesn't matter, children can make noises, it doesn't matter, put a school down there because they need it, you see. So this is what the people, they use people who don't care about the community, fight among themselves. And the school was after that 3 years, but it stands now there. But everything, the whole system, they use people who can't speak and who can say yabas and nebas and not think about the community, you see. So this is how developments come in Hawston. It comes to very, very, very difficult because the people they use, because none of us wanted to go into the city committee because it was there. The government used, you call them the story people, use them just to sit there, to say yes, yabas, nebas. See? So that's why you have got no development. They kept everything back because of their mindset at that time. Because people were afraid. People were afraid to look a white man in the eye, you see. Because you must think like that, and when he tell you beforehand, listen, you must go this way, you must go this way. You can't think for your people, see. That's where the housing development also came in. Struggled to get the housing development here. So I had to actually 1993, I then came then to establish the ANC in Hawston. We were the first march in Hawston from the offices down there. People were scared for your rights to say we want this. The housing must come, and we had a march through the town. People were sitting in the houses scared. What's going to happen now? But we have a plight because you have a right to have houses. Same thing. They wanted to give us big plots. We can't afford. We said make it in 2. Why must you have 13 plots when you give in 2? They said they refused because nobody can afford them. We forced them to say in 2, and we made our march, and we put out plots, and we forced them to do this. Everything they do for us is still in apartheid. Any development taking place in our areas, still thinking back. You're sitting with people come from the old regime. They are taught when it comes to black people in general, this is the way you develop. You see? And now we also had a fight about black people have now a business, but now they come with their laws. But it was planned through the apartheid time and system. And now you want to limit people from doing business. So it's difficult. Difficult the fact that this thing that still apartheid is alive. Thinking in development. We have no integrated development. We develop still around racial lines. You know? They can't come together. So it's difficult. But the people must wake up and take up the political rights.
So are you saying in this community there's no other races than colored community, black people, there's no white people staying here?
There's a few. So Hawston's open. It was always like this. So we always live together with say so-called, we are black actually, but say so-called black people, because I'm black, but I mean as a remission at that time. We always lived together. My friends' fathers were say Africans, right? So we had no problem never had problem with any race who stays here. When they asked the so-called white people to move out, some of them stayed behind. They refused to go and they live with us. So we have no problem with racism, really. We live together, but it's only the systems that forces you against one another. There's no problem with that. So whatever your color is, but I talk about the past. The past is still very much alive. You see, everywhere you go, it's alive. Even if I'm in tourism business now, I'm trying to understand, see how they pressurize it, because you're not supposed to be in Hermanus. It's a white area. What are you doing here? You're supposed to make business. You're supposed to do something else. You know, even when I went back to practical in Hermanus library, I was amazed how people were thinking. When I was at back of the counter and helping them, they said to me, "Why are you doing here? You're supposed to have the broom." I'm a student, young student, you know, coming from UWC, and I tell the lady, "What's wrong with you?" She said, "But no, what? Why are you there?" I said, "No, I'm a student." They couldn't believe it, and they suddenly come together and said, "They want me out of the library because I must use the broom." I'm supposed to help them, you see. So difficult it was for them. So they're still, and people are still looking around our color and still think they are first-class citizens. Like one guy came in, young guy, said to me, "You know, I'm a first-class citizen, you're a second-class citizen. Now you think the third-class citizens tell us what to do." I said, "Wow, my friend, you know, this doesn't exist anymore, but in their heart it exists. They still look at you as a third and second-class citizen." That was of the apartheid system, that color bar they put up. And I always refuse to accept that, because I'm South African. We are all brothers and sisters. We are equal in God's eyes, and no government will drag you down. But the system was in place that drag you, and we fight up with this. And Hawston can come out of the system if people wake up and allow the place to develop. But people will say themselves must be owned by our people self, and not coming in with the collaterals from outside.
So are you saying then, generally, the atmosphere in Hawston, how would you compare currently?
You see, Hawston was always the mecca of tourism in the past. People came here, they feel welcome. Hawston people are very warm in the heart. This was a camping site. You can talk to any person, 92 years old, they might live in Gauteng, and use the word Hawston, they will get warm. They recall how Hawston welcomed people. How they could have put up their tents down here and nobody will touch anything. You see? Because this at Hawston is still the same thing atmosphere is here. We are peaceful people, man. But please help us so that people can start businesses to be lucrative. Help us to develop. See, even if you now put up straight over there, can develop. You put up there a McDonald's, for instance. You will draw people to come to the area. See, but to get there is a difficult animal, because the people, the businesses and Hermanus will immediately see how can they do, what can they do to stop anything happening. So we need over there. We need a garage that's for instance 24-hour with a McDonald's, for instance. You know, then you will draw people in, and let the people then run their own businesses. See, because nobody makes better food in Hawston. Seafood, the best you can get. You know, we have a annual sea festival. This time of the year, it will be the 5th. You can come see for yourself how we put love into our food. Why must us then use what God given us, go sell to the so-called privileged people, and you just get the penny still? You know, why can't you own the business and make the money yourself? And as long as you still are cheap laborer, you'll get nowhere, because cheap laborer come in, your children can't move ahead. And Hawston is a gold mine if you develop it with the people, and that everybody must come listening. I must go and support the thing here, but they must have the right business here. You see, you can't put up a business and then it will die. You see, but yeah, that's the thing about Hawston's mood is good. Is that, see, the fact, unfortunately, is the fact that where must they go to have food on the table? The sea must. The sea can't bear everything. Open up. Let us get the young people to be trained. Send them. And make it vocational, and you see, you change your community back the way it was. Because you listen to that person there, you see, they will always cry about the past. I said, let's do it now, but then the powers that be must help us. Let us train the youth, but make it vocational. Train, because I've done it all my life. To train a fisherman, and you have a quota today. You see, don't train him and put him asunder. So where there is, like in Eastern Cape, where there's no engineers, take the young people, train them, take that block and take them to the places where they need it, and then for 3 years do the thing. Then you can put up the business for them. But don't train and scatter them. And you do the same thing as the old government have done, creating frustration. Let's do it vocational. We can do it. So everybody a place in the sun. Hawston is a wonderful place to be, you see. But the fact remains the people are ready. But then please,
They need access.
Yeah, access to a lot of stuff. So say that the land is here. The land is not going to go for golf and for rich people to have. We told the guy in the past, I'm sorry, but you want to take our land away? You tell us you want to pick a golf. Who's going to work here? 5 people? People said no. We want our children to stay here, but being trained in the discipline, they can make money. Pump in the economy into the area and everything will change. So Hawston is a wonderful place.